The galaxy was in turmoil, its once proud empires crumbling under the weight of an unseen enemy. The alien races, each powerful in their own right, had united to form vast coalitions, creating an unshakable hold over the stars. But now, their control was slipping, and no one knew how to stop it. Systems were falling, cities were burning, and fleets of warships were vanishing without a trace. The enemy was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen: swift, merciless, and relentless. No one could understand how they operated or what their true intentions were, only that they were wiping out everything in their path. The ancient empires of the galaxy, once invincible, were now fighting for survival. The leaders of the galaxy's most powerful empires had gathered in a high-tech command center, a place where decisions were made that shaped the fate of entire worlds. The council room was filled with silence as they looked at the holographic displays of war zones, all of them showing the same thing: destruction. It was clear that no single empire could stand alone against the mysterious invader. An alliance seemed like the only hope for survival. But the debate among the leaders was fierce, and they had no clear idea what to do. Fear was beginning to spread like wildfire, and the uncertainty was worse than the enemy itself. It was in this moment of despair that something unexpected happened. A faint signal began to pulse through the galaxy's communication systems, weak but persistent. At first, no one paid much attention to it. Another distress call, perhaps from one of the fallen worlds? But as the signal continued to grow louder and clearer, it caught the attention of the council. A voice came through, broken and fragmented, but unmistakable. "SOS. Earth. Please, help." The room went silent. Earth. A name few in the galaxy had considered in centuries. Earth was known to the galaxy, but it was considered an insignificant world, far from the heart of galactic power. It was a world of humans, a race that had once been little more than a curiosity to the other empires. Earth had never posed any threat to the galaxy's power structure, and its people had been isolated, unaware of the struggles that raged across the stars. The galaxy's leaders had dismissed Earth as a relic of the past, a backwater world that held no relevance to the grand scale of intergalactic politics. How could Earth, with its primitive technology, possibly have anything to offer? Yet, this signal wasn't just another cry for help. It was a plea from Earth itself. The message grew more desperate with each passing moment. "SOS. Earth. We can help." The message was cut short, but it was enough to send ripples of shock throughout the council chamber. The leaders stared at each other, unsure of how to respond. "Ignore it," said the leader of the Xenar, a reptilian species whose empire had controlled vast swathes of the galaxy. "Earth is insignificant. It cannot help us." But others weren't so sure. What if they found something? One of the younger council members suggested, his voice filled with uncertainty. What if they have technology or knowledge that could turn the tide? "Impossible," another leader, a hulking alien from the Anthrax Empire, growled. "They are a primitive species. This is just a message from a doomed world. We should focus on more important matters." Still, the message couldn't be ignored. The more they tried to dismiss it, the clearer it became that Earth had done something no one expected. The leaders of the galaxy were facing a crisis unlike anything they had encountered, and they had no answers. But Earth's message was clear. They had something to offer, something that could make a difference. And with the galaxy's very survival at stake, they couldn't afford to ignore even the smallest thread of hope. After hours of heated debate, the council reached a decision. A small fleet would be sent to investigate. They would contact Earth, find out what they were offering, and determine if the planet had anything of value to contribute. The decision wasn't without hesitation, but the galaxy had no other options. They couldn't afford to turn away a potential ally, no matter how unlikely it seemed. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the leaders of humanity were facing their own crisis. They had watched as the war spread across the stars, knowing that the enemy would eventually come for them, too. Humanity had been quiet for centuries, content to live in peace, unaware of the vast conflicts raging around them. But now, Earth was waking up to the reality of the universe's dangers. The signal they had sent was their last chance for survival. They had no choice but to hope that someone in the galaxy would hear it and respond. In the depths of Earth's military command centers, a secret project, years in the making, was about to come to fruition. Unbeknownst to the galaxy, Earth had been preparing for the day they would be thrust into the galactic struggle. The humans had been quietly working on advanced technology, developing fleets of ships that could rival anything the galaxy's empires had built. The Thunderstrike, a massive warship, was the crown jewel of Earth's military. Built from a combination of advanced alien technologies and human ingenuity, it was unlike any ship the galaxy had ever seen. But even Earth's leaders weren't sure if they could stand against the galaxy's might. All they had was their will to survive, and the hope that their message would be heard. As the alien fleet arrived in Earth's orbit, they were met with an unexpected sight. Earth's defenses were more advanced than they had expected. The Thunderstrike was already in place, waiting. The aliens had assumed that Earth would be helpless, unable to defend itself. But as the ships of the alien fleet hovered above Earth, they began to realize that their assumptions had been wrong. Earth wasn't the weak planet they had thought it was. It had a military force, and it was ready to defend its home. The fleet of the Galactic Council watched in awe as the humans prepared to fight, their advanced warship ready for battle. The message from Earth was no longer just a plea for help. It was a challenge. Earth was here, and it was not going to stand aside while the galaxy fought to save itself. The galaxy's leaders would soon learn that Earth had more to offer than they had ever imagined. And the galaxy would never be the same again as the alien fleet slowly orbited Earth. They couldn't help but notice the eerie silence that surrounded the planet. Investigate. But nothing about this situation felt right. The Thunderstrike, Earth's most advanced warship, stood in orbit just outside the atmosphere, its sleek, intimidating form a stark contrast to the peacefulness of the planet it protected. It was a symbol of everything the galaxy had failed to recognize about humanity. The aliens had never once considered that Earth would have such a force at its disposal. And now, as their fleet prepared to make contact, they could feel the weight of their underestimation bearing down on them. They had thought the humans were weak, insignificant, until now. Earth had been preparing in secret, building a military force capable of standing toe-to-toe with the galaxy's mightiest. The Galactic Council fleet had been expecting an easy conquest, or at least a diplomatic exchange. They assumed Earth was on the brink of destruction, a planet barely holding on in the face of the galaxy's devastation. Instead, they found a planet with teeth, sharp, focused, and unwilling to be pushed aside. On board the Thunderstrike, Captain Eliza Grant stood tall, her eyes scanning the fleet of alien ships that loomed in the distance. Her crew worked swiftly and quietly, each person focused on their task, every movement synchronized with precision. The ship was humanity's greatest creation, and it would soon be the instrument that would secure Earth's place among the stars. "We've got their ships on our radar, Captain," Lieutenant Miller reported, his voice steady but laced with a hint of anticipation. "They've entered Earth's orbit. There's no turning back now." Grant nodded, her face cold with resolve. "We knew this day would come. Earth won't back down. Prepare for communication." As the crew continued their work, Captain Grant knew that what came next would determine the fate of Earth. The Galactic Council's response was inevitable. Earth had sent a signal, one that had been heard across the galaxy. The message was simple but powerful. Earth was ready to fight. The galaxy may have thought it was a peaceful, forgotten world, but Earth was no longer that planet. The message had been a warning, and it was time for the galaxy to understand the true strength of humanity. Minutes later, a communication channel opened, and the face of a tall, blue-skinned alien appeared on the screen. His eyes were sharp and calculating, his posture rigid with authority. His voice echoed through the bridge, thick with a sense of superiority. "Human," the alien said, his tone condescending. "We've come to investigate your distress signal. You have some explaining to do. Earth is nothing more than a forgotten corner of the galaxy. Your request for assistance is unexpected. Tell me, what exactly do you think you can offer in the face of the galaxy's greatest empires? You have no fleet, no power, no influence. What could you possibly contribute?" Grant met his gaze with an unwavering confidence. Her voice was calm but filled with undeniable strength. "We don't need your permission, alien. Earth doesn't need to explain itself. We've sent our signal, and you've answered. Now, you'll see the power we've built in secret. Earth has been preparing for this moment for years. And we're ready to show you just how far we've come." The alien's eyes narrowed, his expression faltering for a brief moment. "I'm not interested in your words, human. You have no business playing at the same level as the galaxy's powers. If you truly believe Earth has something to offer, then prepare to show us." Grant didn't flinch. "We don't need to prove anything. Our message was simple. You'll either recognize Earth's strength, or we'll force you to." The alien commander's face hardened as he processed her words. "We'll see how long your defiance lasts. Prepare yourself for the consequences of your arrogance, human." Before the communication ended, Grant's voice rang through the bridge once more. "We've already prepared. And Earth doesn't back down." The screen went black, and the bridge fell silent. The tension was thick, but Grant's calm remained unshaken. The galaxy's empires had always thought of Earth as a weak, insignificant world. But now, humanity was about to show them just how wrong they were. They had no intention of being swallowed up by the galaxy's vast power. They would fight for their place, and they would not back down. "Lieutenant," Captain Grant said, her voice resolute, "set course for the outer rim of their fleet. Let's make sure they understand who they're dealing with." The Thunderstrike slowly adjusted its course, moving toward the alien fleet. The time for negotiation was over. The time for action had come. Earth's military was ready, and nothing would stand in their way. The galaxy would either accept Earth as an equal, or they would face the full force of humanity's might. Captain Grant knew that the message they sent next would change everything. With a final glance at the massive alien fleet surrounding them, Captain Grant prepared for the fight ahead. It was Earth's turn to lead, and they would show the galaxy that no one could ignore them any longer. The battle for Earth's future, and for the galaxy's place in it, was about to begin as the Thunderstrike powered forward. Its massive engines hummed with the anticipation of the battle ahead, the faint hum growing louder with each passing second. Captain Eliza Grant stood at the helm, her fingers lightly grazing the controls as she studied the fleet of alien warships surrounding Earth. They were formidable, yes, but humanity had a strength that the galaxy hadn't yet seen. The enemy had underestimated Earth, thinking it was nothing more than a small, forgotten planet. Now, the Thunderstrike was poised to prove that Earth was no longer a bystander in galactic affairs. "Captain, we've got their fleet on all scanners," Lieutenant Miller reported from the tactical station. "At least 12 warships and a dozen support vessels. They're armed to the teeth, but they haven't moved yet." Grant nodded, her expression focused. "Let them underestimate us a little longer," she said softly, more to herself than to anyone else. "We need them to make the first move." On Earth's surface, the people had no idea what was about to happen. Their government had worked in secrecy for years, building technology that no one, not even the most powerful empires of the galaxy, knew Earth had. The Thunderstrike was humanity's answer to the galaxy's arrogance, a message to anyone who dared to threaten their home. The ship wasn't just a weapon, it was a symbol of Earth's will to survive. "Captain, the alien fleet is sending a transmission," Miller said, pulling Grant from her thoughts. "Put them through," she ordered. The screen flickered to life, revealing the image of the alien commander, his face now cold and filled with hostility. His once confident demeanor had turned to one of annoyance as he gazed at the Thunderstrike, still hovering, silent, and waiting. "You've made your point, human," the commander began, his voice laced with disdain. "But you are not welcome here. Leave now, or we will destroy you." Grant met his gaze without flinching, her tone calm but firm. "You're in no position to make threats. This is Earth space, and you will leave. Or we will make you." The commander's eyes flashed with surprise, but he quickly regained his composure. "Your primitive fleet cannot stand against the power of the Galactic Alliance. Your destruction will be swift, and the galaxy will return to its rightful rulers." Grant took a step forward, her voice unwavering. "You may have the numbers, but you've miscalculated one thing. We're not the same Earth you once ignored. We've fought for every inch of this world, and now, we'll fight for our place in this galaxy. If you think we'll stand down, you're wrong. The alien commander sneered. You'll regret this, human. The galaxy doesn't bow to threats from insignificant planets. Then you'll learn, Grant said coldly. Prepare yourself. The transmission cut off abruptly, and the room fell silent. The crew of the Thunderstrike stood poised for action, every member of the crew aware of what was at stake. Earth had made its stand, and now, the galaxy would either accept it or face the consequences. Full power to shields, Grant ordered. Target their lead ship and fire on my mark. The Thunderstrike's engines roared to life, its massive form slowly maneuvering into position. The alien ships had begun to circle, clearly unsure of what humanity was capable of. But Grant knew this would be their first mistake. They had no idea what Earth had built in secret. They were about to find out. Fire! Grant commanded. The Thunderstrike's weapons systems activated with a deafening roar. A massive beam of energy shot out from the ship, tearing through the air, cutting across the lead alien warship like a hot knife through butter. The alien ship exploded in a burst of flames and debris, its remnants drifting aimlessly through space. The alien fleet was thrown into chaos. They had never expected the humans to strike first, to be so bold. But the Thunderstrike wasn't just any ship. It was humanity's declaration of war, and the galaxy would soon understand that Earth was no longer a passive player in the galactic stage. Captain, Miller said, his voice filled with a mix of awe and disbelief. We've taken down their lead ship. The rest of their fleet is retreating. Grant's eyes narrowed as she watched the remaining alien ships break formation, trying to regroup. Don't let them get away, she ordered. We finish what we started. The Thunderstrike didn't hesitate. It was designed for this: speed, power, and the ability to overwhelm any foe. Its weapons fired again, hitting multiple alien ships, their shields buckling under the relentless assault. The battle was swift and brutal. One by one, the alien warships fell, their once proud empires collapsing before humanity's might. Within minutes, the battlefield was eerily silent. The Thunderstrike hovered above the wreckage of the alien fleet, its weapons still trained on the remaining ships. There was no sign of retreat. The galaxy had just seen what humanity could do. Captain, Lieutenant Miller said, breaking the silence, the remaining ships are retreating. They've sent a distress signal to the Galactic Council. Grant allowed herself a small smile. Let them send all the distress signals they want. Earth's message has been delivered. The galaxy will know that we're not here to beg for help. We're here to take our place. The Thunderstrike slowly turned away from the wreckage, heading back toward Earth's orbit. The battle was over, but the war for Earth's future had only just begun. As the ship powered up, Grant stared out at the stars, her mind already focused on what came next. The galaxy had learned a harsh lesson today. Earth wasn't a weak, forgotten planet anymore. Earth was a force to be reckoned with, and humanity wasn't going anywhere. The victory was swift, but the consequences were far from over. As the Thunderstrike slowly moved back into Earth's orbit, the reality of the situation began to set in. The alien fleet had been decimated in a matter of minutes, their once formidable warships now scattered debris floating in the vast emptiness of space. The crew of the Thunderstrike had fought with precision, and humanity had made its mark on the galaxy. But Captain Eliza Grant knew that the hardest part was still ahead. This victory would not be forgotten, but it would spark the fury of a galaxy that would not easily accept Earth's rise to power. Captain, Lieutenant Miller's voice broke through the silence. We've detected multiple fleets moving toward Earth's location. It looks like the Galactic Council is sending reinforcements. Grant stood still for a moment, her mind calculating their next move. It was no surprise. The Thunderstrike's success would have sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The alien empires were powerful, but they had underestimated Earth, and now they would come to challenge humanity's strength. The question was, what would humanity do when the galaxy came knocking, angry and determined to put Earth back in its place? How many ships? Grant asked, her voice calm despite the tension building in the room. At least 30 ships, Captain, Miller replied. Most of them are from the Draxian Empire, the largest military faction in the galaxy. They're sending their strongest fleet. This will be a much tougher fight. Grant nodded slowly. The Draxians had always been a ruthless empire, known for their militaristic dominance and overwhelming numbers. They would not take kindly to the fact that a small, forgotten planet had destroyed one of their most powerful fleets. But humanity had nothing to lose now. Their message had been clear, and Earth had no intention of backing down. The galaxy would have to accept that humanity had come to stay. We're ready, Captain, Miller continued, his tone steady. Our weapons are fully charged, and the shields are at maximum. We can hold them off. Grant turned to face her crew, her eyes filled with the same determination that had driven her throughout this entire mission. This isn't just about surviving anymore. This is about proving that Earth is not to be taken lightly. We're not here to hide. We're here to lead. Prepare for battle. The crew went to work immediately, their movements swift and practiced. The Thunderstrike's weapons systems powered up, the ship's massive cannons glowing with the energy that would soon be unleashed upon the approaching fleet. The tension was thick, but the crew had a sense of unity, a sense that this was humanity's moment, and they would not let it slip away. As the enemy fleets drew closer, Grant couldn't help but feel the weight of what they were about to face. This was no longer just a battle for survival. This was the battle for Earth's future. The galaxy's most powerful empires would come at Earth with everything they had, and humanity's military would need to prove that it was capable of standing against them. Captain, Miller said, his voice urgent, the Draxian fleet has entered firing range. They've locked onto our coordinates. We'll have to move quickly if we want to avoid their first strike. Don't worry about them getting the first shot, Grant said firmly, her voice steady. We'll make sure they never get the chance. The Thunderstrike surged forward, its engines roaring to life. The first Draxian warship opened fire, its massive weapons targeting the human ship. But Grant was ready. With a swift command, the Thunderstrike dodged the incoming blasts, narrowly avoiding the deadly barrage. The enemy fleet followed suit, firing again. But Earth's warship moved with a speed and precision that the Draxians had not anticipated. Fire back, Grant commanded, her hand steady on the controls. Target their lead ship. The Thunderstrike fired with brutal accuracy, the energy beams cutting through the Draxian fleet. The lead warship shattered into pieces, its hull torn apart by the sheer force of the impact. The Draxians, stunned by the Thunderstrike, glided through space, its engines still humming with the energy of battle. The alien fleet, once mighty and intimidating, lay in ruins. Their once proud warships were now scattered debris in the cold vacuum of space. The crew of the Thunderstrike had done what the galaxy never expected, defeated a superior force with nothing more than Earth's ingenuity and determination. The battle had been swift, but it was only the beginning of the message that Earth had sent. Captain Eliza Grant stood at the command center of the Thunderstrike, her eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Her crew had won a significant victory, but the galaxy's leaders were still out there, and they would not take this defeat lightly. Earth's message had been clear. Humanity was no longer the insignificant planet they once thought it to be. But now, the real test would begin. The galaxy's powers were not ones to back down easily. Captain, we've received a communication from the Galactic Council, Lieutenant Miller said, his voice cutting through the quiet tension that had settled over the bridge. They want to speak with you. Grant's expression remained stoic. The Galactic Council had already shown their disdain for Earth. Now, they would face the consequences of their arrogance. Put them through, she said, her voice calm but firm. The screen flickered, and the face of a tall, green-skinned alien appeared on the monitor. He wore a long, ornate robe, his eyes sharp and calculating. He was one of the highest-ranking members of the Galactic Council, a being whose name was known across the galaxy for his power and influence. Captain Grant, the alien said, his voice cold and measured. You've proven your strength today, but I must remind you that Earth's actions have not gone unnoticed. The galaxy does not take kindly to upstarts who believe they can dictate the course of events. The Council demands an explanation for your sudden act of aggression. What gives Earth the right to interfere in the affairs of the galaxy? Grant met his gaze without flinching. What gives the galaxy the right to dismiss us as nothing more than a backwater planet? She asked. For centuries, humanity has been ignored, sidelined, and discarded. We've watched as empires rose and fell, while Earth was left in the shadows. That ends today. Earth has proven its strength, and now we will take our place in the galaxy. If the Council refuses to accept that, then we will show them why they should. The alien's expression remained unchanged, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. He had expected Earth to beg for mercy, to apologize for its defiance. But humanity had done the exact opposite. Earth wasn't asking for permission, it was claiming its future. You speak of power, Captain, the alien said, his voice now tinged with frustration. But Earth is not a galactic power. You cannot hope to stand against the combined might of the Galactic Council. You've defeated a single fleet. That does not make you a threat to us. Then you don't understand Earth at all, Grant replied. We didn't build our strength to compete with empires. We built it to protect our people, to defend our home. And if the galaxy doesn't accept Earth as an equal, we will make them understand that we will not be ignored any longer. The alien's eyes narrowed, his face hardening with the weight of his thoughts. This will not go unpunished, Captain. The Council will not allow this defiance to stand. We will strike back, and we will bring Earth to its knees. Grant's expression remained unwavering. You can try, she said simply. But we're not going anywhere. Earth will fight, and if the Council tries to crush us, they will find that we are not as easy to defeat as they think. The transmission ended abruptly, and the screen went dark. The crew of the Thunderstrike stood in tense silence. Grant could feel the weight of what was coming. The Council would not let this stand, and they would send their fleets, their armies, to ensure Earth remained under their thumb. But Earth was ready. The Thunderstrike had only just begun to show the galaxy its might. Captain, Lieutenant Miller said, breaking the silence, what's our next move? Grant turned to face him, her expression calm but resolute. We make sure they know we won't be intimidated. The Thunderstrike will be the tip of the spear, but we won't fight alone. Earth will stand united, and we will take the fight to the Council if we have to. We've already sent our message. Now, we wait for the galaxy to respond. As the Thunderstrike moved deeper into space, Captain Grant's mind raced with the possibilities. The galaxy's empires would undoubtedly retaliate, but Earth was no longer the weak planet they once thought it to be. Humanity had come into its own, and the rest of the galaxy was about to learn what it meant to challenge Earth. The stakes were higher than ever, but Grant was ready. The Thunderstrike wasn't just a ship, it was humanity's declaration to the galaxy. And the galaxy would soon understand that Earth was no longer a forgotten planet. It was a force to be reckoned with, and nothing would stand in its way. As the stars stretched out before them, Captain Grant knew one thing. The battle for Earth's future was far from over. But with the strength of humanity behind her, she was ready for whatever came next. The galaxy had learned the hard way that Earth was not a planet to be underestimated. And the fight was only just beginning. The Thunderstrike sailed through the vast emptiness of space, its massive form gliding like a predator, intent on a target that had no idea what was coming. The distant stars flickered in the blackness, but the tension within the ship was palpable. The battle they had fought and won was a distant memory now. What lay ahead was far more dangerous, an entire galaxy still unwilling to accept Earth's rise. Captain Eliza Grant stood at the command center, her hands resting lightly on the console. The holographic displays around her showed the latest intelligence reports. Alien fleets scattered throughout various sectors of the galaxy, their movements suggesting a response was imminent. The Galactic Council would retaliate, and Earth would be in the crosshairs. But Earth had already proven its strength, and now it was time to make the galaxy understand that humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. It was fighting for its rightful place among the stars. Captain, Lieutenant Miller's voice broke through her thoughts. We've just picked up a large fleet movement coming from the T-Ruvia system. It's the Council's main fleet. They're heading straight for us. Grant's eyes narrowed as she studied the data. So it begins, she muttered under her breath. The Galactic Council had wasted no time assembling their fleet. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about sending a message to every corner of the galaxy that Earth had no place in the new order. But what the Council didn't understand was that humanity wasn't afraid of their threats. They had already come too far. How long until they arrive? Grant asked, her voice steady. About 8 hours, Miller replied. At their current speed, they'll be in range within that time. Grant nodded. That's not enough time to retreat, but it's enough to prepare. She turned to face her crew. We're not running, we're standing our ground. Our message has been heard, and now we'll show them why they should listen. The crew moved quickly to their stations, preparing the Thunderstrike for the incoming battle. The ship's powerful weapons systems powered up, the hum of energy pulsing through the ship's massive frame. Earth had done the impossible once. Now, they had to do it again. The Thunderstrike was humanity's symbol of defiance, and it was about to show the galaxy that Earth wasn't just a force to be reckoned with, it was the Force. As the crew worked, Grant's thoughts remained on the situation at hand. The fleet the Council was sending was enormous, perhaps the largest ever assembled. But size didn't always win wars. Earth had fought battles with far less and had come out victorious. This time, however, the stakes were even higher. If the Thunderstrike was to win this battle, it wouldn't be just for Earth. It would be for the galaxy's future. Humanity's victory would be a testament to the galaxy that no one could simply wipe them out. Captain, Lieutenant Miller said, breaking into her thoughts, they're in range. Their fleet is massive, at least 20 ships, many of them warships. Grant turned to the view screen, where the massive fleet loomed on the horizon. They may have the numbers, but we have the will, she said, her voice firm. We won't just survive this. We'll make sure they understand that Earth belongs here. Prepare to engage. The Thunderstrike broke formation and took position. Its weapons systems were locked onto the alien fleet, and the shields hummed with energy. The ship's sleek, powerful form was ready for whatever the Council's fleet had to throw at it. The massive alien ships, each bristling with weaponry and advanced shields, seemed daunting. But Earth had one thing they didn't: the element of surprise. Fire! Grant commanded. The Thunderstrike unleashed a barrage of energy blasts that tore through the vast emptiness of space. The first shot struck one of the leading enemy warships, a massive vessel adorned with the symbols of the Galactic Council. It cracked open like an egg, the explosion sending shockwaves through the surrounding ships. The rest of the fleet immediately retaliated, firing a massive volley of lasers and missiles toward the Thunderstrike. Shields holding steady, Miller reported, his voice calm despite the chaos. But their firepower is more intense than we expected. We expected this, Grant replied. Hold steady and focus fire on their flagship. The Thunderstrike maneuvered skillfully, dodging incoming fire with calculated precision. Its weapons were devastatingly accurate, cutting through the alien fleet's defenses like a knife through butter. Another alien warship fell, its massive frame twisting and disintegrating as the Thunderstrike's energy beams tore it apart. But the Council wasn't about to give up so easily. The remaining ships reorganized, closing the distance to the Thunderstrike and firing relentlessly. The battle was now in full swing, a symphony of light and destruction, with the Thunderstrike at the center, fighting back with everything Earth had. Captain, Miller shouted over the din. One of their warships is charging a superlaser. It's about to fire. Grant's eyes widened as she saw the massive energy buildup on the screen. The alien warship's superlaser was one of the most destructive weapons in the galaxy. If it hit the Thunderstrike, the ship would be vaporized in an instant. Move to evasive maneuvers. Grant shouted. We can't let them get a clean shot. The Thunderstrike veered sharply to the left, narrowly avoiding the destructive beam of energy that shot out from the enemy warship. The superlaser hit nothing but empty space, a missed shot that cost the alien fleet precious time. Now! Grant ordered. Full power to forward cannons. Let's finish this. With a mighty roar, the Thunderstrike unleashed everything it had. Its forward cannons erupted with blinding energy, each blast hitting the alien fleet with precision. One by one, the remaining warships fell, their shields crumpling and their hulls breaking apart as the power of Earth's fleet tore through them. In the end, only the flagship remained, and even it was on its last legs. The Thunderstrike moved in for the final strike, its weapons charging for one last devastating blow. The alien commander on the flagship sent out one last transmission, a desperate plea for mercy. But it was too late. "Captain," Miller said, his voice filled with awe, "we've done it. The fleet is broken. They are retreating." Grant allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction, but her mind quickly returned to the task at hand. "We've proven a point," she said, her voice firm. "The galaxy will remember this day. Earth has made its mark. Now, we take the fight to the Council." As the Thunderstrike drifted among the wreckage of the alien fleet, Captain Grant knew that this victory was only the beginning. The galaxy had seen what humanity was capable of, but the true battle was still to come. They had sent a message that would reverberate across the stars. And Earth would never be ignored again. The wreckage of the alien fleet floated in the cold vacuum of space, remnants of once proud warships now shattered and scattered across the stars. The Thunderstrike hovered among the debris, its engines still humming softly, its weapons powered down, yet its presence more imposing than ever. The galaxy's most powerful fleet had been broken in mere hours, and the message Earth had sent was clear. Humanity would not be intimidated, and Earth was no longer a planet to be ignored. Captain Eliza Grant stood at the helm, her eyes scanning the debris fields. Her crew had won a decisive victory, but the true challenge was still ahead. The alien fleets had been defeated, but the Galactic Council had yet to respond in full. Their leaders, no doubt, were seething with rage and humiliation. And, Grant knew, they would not sit idly by for long. "Captain," Lieutenant Miller's voice broke through the quiet tension on the bridge. "We've received a transmission. It's from the Galactic Council." Grant didn't hesitate. "Put it through." The screen flickered to life, and once again, the cold face of a council member appeared. This time, it wasn't the same alien from their previous communication, but a new figure, one whose regal and imposing features marked him as a high-ranking official. His voice was steady, but there was an unmistakable edge of fury beneath his words. "Captain Grant," the alien said, his voice cold as ice. "The galaxy has suffered enough from your insolence. Earth's military has proven itself a force to be reckoned with, but your actions have forced the hand of the Galactic Council. We will not allow such defiance to go unpunished. You will cease your resistance at once, or we will destroy you." Grant's expression remained unwavering. The alien's threats were empty to her now. They had made their move, and Earth had answered. She would not back down. "You are in no position to threaten us," she replied, her voice calm and measured. "Earth will not surrender. If the Council wishes to continue this, we will meet you with the full force of humanity's will. We are not your subjects, and we will not be treated as such." The alien's eyes narrowed, but he remained silent for a moment, clearly considering his next move. Finally, he spoke again, his voice laced with contempt. "Then you will force us to make an example of you, human. We will bring the galaxy's most powerful fleets to bear against you, and we will destroy your world. You will learn the consequences of defying the Galactic Council." Grant's eyes hardened, her voice cold as she spoke the final words. "You can try. But know this, Earth will not fall. Not now, not ever." The transmission ended abruptly, and the screen went dark. For a moment, there was nothing but the steady hum of the ship's engines and the quiet tension that hung in the air. The Thunderstrike was ready for the next fight, but Grant knew that the battle for Earth's future had only just begun. "Captain," Miller said after a brief silence, "the fleet is still scattered across the galaxy, and we've received reports that other factions are beginning to rally. The Council is assembling an enormous fleet, but they're still not fully unified. It might take them time to regroup." Grant nodded, her mind already racing through the next steps. "Time is something we don't have," she said. "We've proven we can hold our own in a fight, but the Council will not rest until we're destroyed. We need to strike first, before they can assemble their full force. We'll take the fight to their doorstep." "Captain," said the communications officer, We've received word from Earth's command center. They're ready to support us with additional ships and resources. We're not alone in this. Grant's eyes flickered to the screen, her thoughts momentarily focused on the planet below. Earth had been a quiet player in the galaxy for so long, but now, humanity had stepped into the fray. Earth wasn't just fighting for survival. It was fighting for its place among the stars. Good. Let's make sure they know that Earth stands united. The Thunderstrike surged forward, its powerful engines propelling it deeper into the galaxy. The Council's fleets were still out there, scattered, but dangerous. Earth's next move would be critical. The galaxy had seen humanity's strength, but now it was time to show them that Earth had the will to fight for its future. Prepare for the jump to the next sector, Grant ordered. We'll hit them where it hurts, before they have the chance to fully assemble. As the Thunderstrike entered the depths of space, Grant's mind was focused on the future. The Council would retaliate, but Earth had already shown that it could stand toe-to-toe with the galaxy's mightiest. Humanity had made its mark, and nothing would stand in its way. Captain, Miller said, his voice tense, we're detecting several incoming ships, larger than any we've seen so far. Grant turned toward him, her eyes narrowing. How many? At least 20, Captain, Miller said, it's a full fleet. Grant took a deep breath, her resolve solidifying. Then it's time to send them a message they'll never forget. Full power to weapons and shields. We're not backing down. The Thunderstrike powered up, its systems fully operational. Earth had sent a signal to the galaxy, and now, it was time to show them that no one, not even the might of the Galactic Council, could silence humanity's defiance. The fight for Earth's future was about to enter its most dangerous phase. But Captain Grant was ready. She had no doubt that Earth would stand victorious, no matter what the galaxy threw at them. The Thunderstrike moved forward, its engines glowing bright as it cut through the dark emptiness of space. Captain Eliza Grant stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the incoming fleet of the Galactic Council. The message had been sent, but the true test was ahead, an overwhelming fleet, a galaxy that would stop at nothing to bend humanity to its will. But Earth was done being silent. Earth was done being dismissed. It was time to show the galaxy that humanity wasn't just surviving, it was taking its place among the stars. Captain, we're getting reports of significant fleet movements from the Galactic Council, Lieutenant Miller reported, his voice tense. They've gathered at the Lunaris system. It's the heart of the Council's military force. This is going to be one of their largest fleets ever assembled. Grant's lips pressed into a thin line. Good, she said, her voice calm but filled with steely resolve. Let them come. We've waited for this moment. The Thunderstrike approached the edge of the system, its weapons systems fully powered up, its shields strong and ready. Ahead, the enemy fleet loomed large, a dark cloud of warships. There were easily 20 ships, and their size alone would have struck fear in the hearts of lesser commanders. But Captain Grant wasn't intimidated. The time for fear was over. All hands, prepare for combat, she ordered, her voice steady as she looked out into the vast battlefield. Today, we show the galaxy what Earth is capable of. The first shots rang out as the alien fleet advanced, their weapons lighting up the darkness of space. The Thunderstrike moved with calculated precision, dodging the incoming fire and returning blasts of its own. The first enemy warship exploded in a burst of energy, its shields collapsing under the force of the Thunderstrike's fire. Another alien ship attempted to retaliate, but Earth's warship was already moving, its advanced weaponry tearing through the enemy defenses. Direct hit on their lead ship. Lieutenant Miller shouted, his eyes wide with excitement. They're losing formation. The rest of the fleet is scattering. Grant's heart raced as she watched the alien fleet begin to disintegrate under the power of Earth's firepower. The Thunderstrike wasn't just powerful, it was smarter, faster, and more agile than the alien ships, whose commanders were still reeling from the speed and precision of the humans' first strike. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. But the Council fleet wasn't about to give up without a fight. Another alien ship launched a barrage of missiles, aiming directly for the Thunderstrike. The ship's powerful shields flared as the missiles impacted, the energy rippling through the Thunderstrike's hull. Shields holding strong, Miller reported, his voice tight with anticipation. They're not getting through. Grant nodded, her eyes fixed on the battlefield. Keep pushing. We don't give them a chance to regroup. The Thunderstrike surged forward, its weapon systems firing relentlessly at the alien fleet. A few ships tried to regroup, but Earth's warship was already too far ahead, its movements too swift for them to counter. Another alien warship fell, its engines imploding as the Thunderstrike's laser beams cut through its defenses. The alien commanders were beginning to panic. They had not expected this. No one had expected this. The galaxy had thought Earth was weak, a species that would cower before them. But Earth had proven its power, and now the Council's finest fleets were being torn apart by humanity's military might. Captain, we've wiped out half their fleet, Miller said, his voice filled with awe. They are retreating. Grant's lips curved into a grim smile. Let them run. Earth doesn't chase, Earth stands its ground. But even as the enemy began to retreat, Grant knew that the battle was far from over. The Galactic Council wouldn't back down easily. They would regroup, they would retaliate, and they would come after Earth with everything they had. This victory was important. It was a message to the galaxy that Earth would no longer be pushed around. But the true test was yet to come. Humanity had proven it could win a battle. But could it win the war? Captain, the communications officer said, cutting through Grant's thoughts. We're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. Grant's face hardened, her mind immediately preparing for what came next. Put them through. The screen flickered, and the image of an alien council leader appeared. His face was cold, filled with barely concealed rage, his eyes dark with the weight of defeat. You think this victory means anything, human? He spat, his voice dripping with venom. You've killed a few of our ships. But there are more where they came from. You've made your point, but you have no idea what you've unleashed. The galaxy will see this as an act of war, and you will pay the price for your insolence. Grant's gaze was unwavering. Earth has been at war since the moment it was born. We will not bow to you or anyone else. This is our galaxy now, and if you try to take that away, we will fight you to the end. The alien leader's expression faltered for a brief moment, as if unsure of how to respond. He had expected to intimidate Earth, to make them cower before the might of the Galactic Council. But Earth was different. Earth was no longer afraid. We will return, the alien finally said, his voice low and filled with menace. And next time, we will not show mercy. Grant's response was simple and firm. We're ready. The transmission ended, and the screen went dark. For a moment, no one on the bridge spoke. The Thunderstrike had won the battle, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth, but they wouldn't make that mistake again. Earth had proven that it could fight back, that it could stand toe-to-toe with the galaxy's greatest powers. But now, humanity would face the true test. Could they hold their ground against an entire galaxy determined to crush them? Captain, Miller said after a long pause, what do we do now? Grant's voice was filled with unshakable resolve. We prepare. Earth has already won this fight. Now, we make sure they never forget who we are. The Thunderstrike turned, moving toward the next phase of their mission. Earth had sent its message, and now it was time to make sure the galaxy heard it loud and clear. Humanity was no longer a forgotten world. It was a force to be reckoned with. And nothing, not even the might of the Galactic Council, would stand in its way.